Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation Next Nation. First of all, happy Mother's Day to everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful Mother's Day and got everything that your hearts desire. Okay? Now, first things first, as always, thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I definitely appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. You leave a comment, hit the like button, share, whatever it may be. I like interacting with you, so I normally reply back in the comments any chance I get. All right. Next, as always, my disclaimers. We will be doing Belle Collective. And before we get started, I have to say all commentary is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. All right? I do my commentary based on week to week episodes. Whatever they show me on that TV is what I get on the screen to talk to you guys about. I don't have a dog in this fight. And I don't show a lot of favoritism. If you good this week, I'm gonna tell you good. If you suck this week, I'm gonna tell you suck. Okay? I understand that the shows are also edited, so we don't get to see the full scenes. So I can only speak on what they air on the television screen. And that is it. Now, before we get started, Bell Collectors, I got to take a sip because this particular episode was pretty good. It's not going to be a long commentary, but there's some things to touch. And mostly it's pretty much the Tiffany, Stormy, and the Kayla of it all. But we'll get started in a minute. Let me get a sip here. Ooh, I had to wet my throat a little bit, honey, because it was a lot. So let's start off at the Civil Rights Museum. Okay. Stormy and her sidekick Chanel and Tiffany and her sidekick Kendra still out there going back and forth. Well, what did she say? And she said, what offended you? Well, what did she say? Well, I need to know, how did I offend you? And it just kept going back and forth. And then finally, Tiffany said, I see right through you. Now, I don't know if Tiffany meant that Stormy is trying to drag her into a confrontation. I don't know if Stormy was trying to set up a scene, but Tiffany said, I see right through you. Okay. So then they kept going back and forth, and she was like, she felt the mop. Tiffany felt the mop thing was a joke, that they finally got through there back and forth. And then Tiffany said, well, it was a joke. And Stormy said, well, I didn't see it as a joke. You don't know me like that. And then basically she was trying to say, she found it a racial implication. You don't know me like that. You shouldn't have said anything like that to me. And then she said, serving is not funny, just kind of back and forth. And Tiffany was like, give me a second, and Stormy was like, I don't find anything you saying to be funny or whatever. So Tiffany kind of got what Stormy was saying, but she still wanted to stay on her moral high ground, because Tiffany ain't trying to lose. Tiffany is a person, in my opinion, that's going to always get the last word in an argument or a discussion, and so is Stormy. So them two going back and forth with each other, that could have went on all day. Finally, Kendra steps in. You know, Chanel is telling them, "Hey, that was a racial implication. You saying the word mob." Then Kendra steps in, which is Tiffany's sidekick, and she was like trying to tell her, "Hey, well, she didn't mean it that way," or just trying to explain Tiffany's side of the story. Stormy said, pump the brakes. Your face is pretty, you cute and all, but I'm talking to Tiffany." I was like, "Woo, that's what we doing, Stormy." See, Tiffany and Kendra is going to wake up Stormy. Y'all going to bring out thunderstorm. Y'all going to bring out the hailstorm. Y'all going to bring out the windstorm. Y'all are going to bring out the snowstorm. You're going to bring out Hurricane Stormy. You're going to bring out every storm you can think of. Tsunami Stormy. Stop poking the bear. Now, in the words of Carlos King, let's have a real conversation. He has done a great job reinventing Stormy, because we know Stormy's the last series that she was on, which was Love and Marriage Huntsville. She didn't come off as a very nice person. We people liked her, but Again, I have anything against her, but a lot of the audience she just did not connect with because she had a beef that we didn't even know existed or why it existed with Melody. So him reinventing her and bringing her to this cast where we actually saying, hey, I kind of like Stormy on this show. Don't poke the bear and bring out Huntsville Stormy. That's all I'm saying. Because that Stormy, she wasn't always a nice person. So Tiffany, kind of be careful with that. Um, and after that, they just kept going back and forth. I personally think Stormy needs to just know how to just let stuff go. The problem I see with Tiffany and Stormy is they didn't know each other. They're trying to get to know each other, and their personalities are a little opposite of each other. Tiffany is in your face, Bible toting. Stormy is kind of in your face, but she laid back. Don't poke the bear type mentality. I'm gonna be cool with you as long as you cool with me. But if you say something out of line or poke the bear, then it's on and popping. That's Stormy's mentality. Tiffany's mentality is we should all just get along. She's kind of nice, nasty. I'm gonna pray for you, but still talk crap about you behind your back. And I low key think Tiffany is evil sometimes. And I don't mean it in a bad way, evil, but Tiffany got some evil ways about how she approach situations. She seems to think that she is right no matter what. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, after they kept going back and forth, Stormy shut down her sidekick Kendra. Chanel just kind of laid back. They walked off. Didn't really resolve anything. She kind of somewhat apologized a little bit. Tiffany did, but it was a backhand apology as usual. And as she's walking away, she's talking about what she means. She don't want to be a servant. Servant is part of God's whatever. She started going into her holier than thou thing about serving and how serving everybody should be happy to serve and want to love to serve. You're talking about serving in the church. Yeah, we should serve. We should help in the church. You should help with the youth ministry or help with the choir or help with the greeters or the cooking, whatever. Yeah, you should do some service in the church. Tiffany, that's not what this argument was about. You was telling her to mop a floor. That had nothing to do with being holy. Okay? That's more of a janitorial type stuff. So that's why Stormy was like, what are you talking about? Stormy on the other side praying with her friend Chanel because Tiffany said that they don't do darkness. I'm out of here. I only do light. So she was calling them darkness. And Stormy said, hey, is it because we both have on black? But once again, you call them darkness. You talk about them serving, but you gave her a backhand apology. So Tiffany, you're starting to be the problem. Stormy, I will applaud her for keeping it as low key as possible, but I could see those buttons was being pushed. Okay. Okay. So after that, in my opinion, um, Tiffany probably need to relook at how she addressed the women, but we'll keep going on. So then later on, Tiffany, Kendra, and Kayla, and this is what I'm saying. Tiffany needs to look at how she addresses the women. She comes in this kumbaya moment. Well, Kayla says she doesn't have any girlfriends, so I invited her out to show her what real girlfriend relationships is about. Apparently her and Kendra have been friends for 18 years, went through college, yada, yada, yada. But she gets there, she starts digging into Kayla's relationship. And at some point, Kayla's like, y'all giving me therapy or something? Or you trying to be friendship? She said, no, we're just trying to get to know you. I kind of understand. If you want to be friends with people, sometimes you got to know where they're coming from, a little bit about their life. But they was digging a little deep. Just get a little nuggets at a time. She'll eventually open up and tell y'all everything. Y'all wanted everything at once, Kendra and Tiffany. So, Kayla, which we are starting to understand why she behaves the way she does, because she never had her own voice. She basically said she went straight out of high school, whatever, married this older dude, popped out 4 babies, and he kept her isolated. She's only been in relationships and marriage with him. She didn't have time to develop real relationship with women because she had been popping out children back to back to back. Keep that in mind, you young girls that want these older men and they gonna take care of me and give me the soft life. This is the soft life. She had it. Apparently, she wasn't happy with it because she went out and found her a career, you know. But anyway, she said the last year, I guess that's when it started really getting heavy on her, or the divorce issues was coming up. She said she was drinking tequila behind sunglasses. And that really hurt my heart because I'm like, good Lord, Kayla, you should have got some therapy for that. But she said she's fine now and everything is good. So I get it why she's struggling in the female group. And y'all, Kayla and Kendra, they did not make it any better. Because once she told them her business, she didn't have a father figure around. Her mother didn't show her a lot of affection. I like the fact that Kayla is giving you her real life. We may not like the decisions that she's making now. We didn't know her prior to the husband and the kids, but the guy she's dating right now, we kind of side eyeing that decision because we see the pattern, like you're going right back to what you just left. However, she's opening up to us, letting her know her family. She's playing the reality TV person that you're going to see if the show sustains on several seasons because she's letting you see her life you know so she tells them all of that, and then she said, okay, well, y'all asking me personal questions, well, let me ask you something. Well, Tiffany, what happened at the Civil Rights Museum? And all of a sudden, Tiffany was like, getting an attitude. Now you done dug into this girl's most personal life, and you can't tell her what happened at the Civil Rights Museum with you and Stormy. That was just hypocrisy, Tiffany. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is your problem struggling with the girls. You didn't see nothing wrong with that. Or maybe I just picked it up. I felt like that girl was releasing a lot of information to you about her personal life. But then when she asked you about, well, what happened? All you had to do was say, hey, we had a conversation. It didn't go as planned. Only certain amount of people showed up because she said, hey, was so-and-so there? Was this person there? Now, there was a part in the conversation where they did show a flashback of Kayla, Fumi, and Sanetta in the car talking about the mop incident. But that's only from their perspective. Maybe Kayla wanted to hear your perspective of it. But what did she do? She got irritated. She started accusing Kayla of collecting information, coming there to collect information to take back to Stormy. Tiffany, you invited her. So if you invited her to this luncheon, why would she be setting you up to get information to take to Stormy when you the one told her to come, ask her to come to lunch? So I'm like, you know what? This is crazy. So Kayla, she said, well, what did you? I'm not going to discuss that outside of the collective, but you just discussed it with Kendra, who ain't in the collective. So Kendra already knows. I don't want to discuss it outside the collective. So you saying you want to talk about it when everybody's there? Because Kayla is part of the collective. So she asked her again, well, I'm just trying to see what was going on. And she was like, I don't want to talk about it. Kayla was not trying to be messy. She was literally trying to figure out what was your side of the story. She said, well, I just want to talk to all of y'all at once or whatever. And then Kendra wants to step in and she's like telling Kayla, she said that she didn't want to talk about it. And Kayla was like, hold up. And I was like, okay, Kayla, I like that little backbone you got. She said, I'm only going to talk to one person at a time about this. And I guess Kendra got a little offended. She decided, I don't need no new friends. Snatch her bag, walk out, and say, nice trying to get to know you, Kayla. Kendra, none of that was necessary. It really wasn't. You're bringing this young lady out to show her about sisterhood and having friendships with women, and that was the worst example y'all could have gave her. Because y'all dug into her personal life, and as long as she was telling you about her drinking, her divorce, her kids, father not being around, struggling with this and that, y'all was all 10 toes down. But then when she asked you about, hey, what happened at the museum, all of a sudden the whole conversation changed. This is why people are struggling to like you, Tiffany. You can't hide behind the Bible. We like Christians, we love Christians, but don't hide behind the Bible and then be evil in real life. You know what I mean? And I know evil is a harsh word, but you do a little mean girl evil type mentality when you're dealing with these women, especially if it's something you can't control. Tiffany likes to be in control and she likes to control the conversation and everything else. And if she can't do that, then she shuts down and try to be, offsetting to people. She's mad because Kayla would not let her take control of the conversation and kept asking her what happened, what happened. Instead of answering, she just shut down and they want to end the whole luncheon. Same thing she did with Stormy. Even though I felt Stormy was pushing her and being condescending on purpose, Tiffany could have shut that down by just apologizing and walking off and not doing the backhand apology, calling people darkness. I got to go into light and all that. See, that's just how Tiffany is. And that's why people are struggling with you, Tiffany. Do better. That's all I'm saying. Because in my opinion, you discourage her from girl outings. Um, I don't think your intentions were pure with her, and you got a nice nasty attitude. That's all I'm saying. So as soon as they leave out of the restaurant, Kayla and Tiffany's defense, just one for 1 second, I'm gonna defend Tiffany a little bit. You immediately call Stormy. Why did you do that? Because now everything Tiffany was saying, it looks like she was telling the truth about, or you make her look like she was telling the truth. But I don't think you was sent there to set Stormy up, because you got on there and said, hey, I just had brunch with so and so. So that means that Stormy didn't even really know y'all was going to be eating out. So you couldn't have been coming here to get info for Stormy. But the way you called her standing outside the restaurant, girl, you should have waited till you got in your freaking car. Because now Tiffany can see what I'm talking about? You still here on the phone. She said, I'm talking to Stormy. That fed right into the bull crap that Tiffany's going to create probably on the next show. Okay? But Stormy said, y'all giving Mean Girls in Birmingham. All right? Now, one thing I'm going to talk about real quick is Stormy and her family. They did a thing with Stormy and the family. They showed her and her son at home doing the building the box so they can time capsule so they can bury it. And they showed her in Mississippi with her mom and her dad building the house. And I'm gonna say this, and I ain't taking it back. Miss Betty was not one of my favorite people on the previous show that Stormy was on, because she was so nasty to Melody, and I just never understood why. I don't know if it was an internal jealousy because she didn't want Melody to surpass her daughter or anything, because your daughter was already somewhat rich and famous when she came on that show. So I didn't understand why you were so nasty to Melody, because Melody didn't know what she did to you, and you was rude to Melody. And Melanie's mom was never rude to your daughter. Okay. And I felt like, wow, and I guess maybe because it's Mother Day, I'm thinking of this, but Stormy mother was rude and nasty to Melody. But Melody, Miss Van, was never rude and nasty to your daughter, Stormy. And I felt like, why was she like that? So now that they're on this property, here goes Stormy's dad. And I'm like, God, this lady got Stormy's dad around? I'm like, man, did you see your wife and how she behaved? Did you talk to her about it? Because I would have never thought that lady had a husband, the way she was talking, the way she behaved on Huntsville, you know. But it was good to see Stormy and her family. You can obviously see Stormy loves her mom, loves her dad, and apparently her grandfather was a big influence in her life. She got emotional about that. All I seen in that scene was Stormy wanted a hug, and I'm proud of you from your mom. Your mom seems to struggle with um, touching, showing emotions through hugs and kisses and love. She said, I'm proud of you, I love you. But I think Stormy wanted to feel that, that motherly hug against her heart or chest. Miss Betty, hug your daughter. I don't understand. The girl is building you, from what she said, a 3,000 plus square foot house, 400 and plus $1,000 in Mississippi. A 400 plus $1,000 home is a nice home in Mississippi. Okay, if you ever been there, you pay $400,000 for a home in Mississippi. You gonna get in Mississippi. You gonna get a mansion. And all I wanted her to do in that episode was hug Stormy. She still ain't doing it. It's something in Miss Betty where she's emotionally disconnected to affections that require you to touch and hug on your children. And maybe she didn't do that to Stormy as a child. And you can see that's what Stormy wanted. But if you're a parent out there, hug your kids every day, all day. I hug my daughter to this day, and she up in her 30s. I hug her. Always hugged her. Be vulnerable, and you just don't know how much it means sometimes if you just give your child a good hug. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about this Gallentine's thing they was doing. Whew, take my notes in that. And this was really, oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, shout out to, I think her name is Amber, that was doing the IVF journey. I'm sure that storyline would help a lot of women who's going through it, because they actually see the process and how your hormones are imbalanced. You're not feeling good all the time. You get a little sick in between that. So again, if you're out here doing IVF or trying to retrieve and save your eggs, if you're not sure when you want to have a child, start doing that early on. Okay, maybe in your mid to late 20s. Don't wait till you close to 40 and be out here trying to get eggs, because you can see it's not an easy process as you get older. Just my opinion. If you want to chase your career and have babies later on, then you might want to do that earlier in life. Okay. Um, And it was a great scene. And with that being said, they got to the Gallentine. Wasn't much there. Just Kayla showed up very emotional, and she said something was going on. She was crying all day long. Something was going on that she was trying to protect her and her kids. Probably something to do with the ex, I'm assuming, that she's not really ready to discuss or bring on TV, or he may not want the kids on TV or may not be on TV. You never know. Because a lot of times these ladies get reality TV spots, and for some reason the ex don't want their kids on TV as a way to punish the mom. But if the ex is on there, he'd probably be okay with it. We've seen how that happened on a few other shows prior to that. Um, but again, she's dealing with some personal issues and she's not okay. So the ladies are coming in and they hugging Sonetta. Great turnout. It looked kind of cute with the pink and red or whatever it was they was doing. And then that I want to pronounce her name, Kylan. She come in and she got to have a conversation with Kayla. Kayla's going through it. I don't know if they told her that prior to the conversation because a lot of stuff is edited, but I wouldn't even have bothered her at this point. If I'm seeing this girl constantly standing in this room crying every 10, 15 minutes, why are you adding more pressure to that? See, people wouldn't need to know when to step in and step off. Again, she's a friend of the show, so she's trying to get her moment just like Chanel did, just like Miss Kendra did, and our Kaylin's trying to get her moment. You ladies invite your friends to be on the show and make them friend of the show. Y'all might want to start briefing them about how much interactions and when they need to interact with castmates because some of them get inappropriate. And I ain't saying Kaylin was inappropriate or Kayleen, however you pronounce her name, but she is a ball of energy. She really is. I don't know if she notices, but you are a ball of energy, and everybody is just not able to connect with that type of personality. And some people are shocked when they see it. So when Kayla said, "Woo, what is she on?" I don't think she meant you was doing something bad, but I get it. You're an influencer, so you don't want anything that's insinuating you may be on some type of illegal drugs or something. But I'm sure that's not what she was meaning because you can tell the group of women the circle of women y'all in probably don't live that lifestyle. So I think you were just, reaching, trying to create a storyline. However, you pull her to the side. I appreciate the fact she had a quick conversation. She squashed it. But then she said, "Are you just naturally dense or you're just clueless all the time?" Now, I felt that was rude. You're going to say what she said to you was rude, but then you're going to question her intelligence. Why y'all keep thinking Kayla's slow? Because Kayla, let's be honest, sometimes you present that, but I think you highly intelligent. You got your own company, your own business. You're financially secure. I just think some levels of you are not where it should be when it comes to women because of how got married so fast and had these kids. So you weren't able to relate to girls of your age, what they go through at 25 or 30 or whatever. So that's the part you lacking, and you're trying to maybe go backwards and relive that so you can get those emotions and things straight. That's all. She's not slow. If she that slow and dense, she wouldn't have a successful business, Kylan. So I felt like you were out of line for that. Don't say something disrespectful to that lady, but mad because she said something you felt or posted something that was disrespectful to you. Because you did exactly to her what you didn't want her doing to you. Now, of course, Tiffany's in there, like, I'm not speaking to Kayla while I'm here. We'll talk about that. Girl, nobody care, Tiffany. We really don't. When I say Tiffany, you're getting on the viewers' nerves, and I'm gonna need you to turn a curve soon, or you're gonna be one of those we don't like you type people, and it's gonna be hard to come back from that. Because once reality TV stars or fans of a show put you in a box, they're gonna keep you in that box for a minute till you show them something different. All right. Um, as they were talking about what was going on, Kayla got a little more emotional again. And then Tiffany gives her, and I'm sorry, Kylie gives her a tissue. And I'm like, and with her face on it. And she's like, this girl passed. And she just left it alone. They go into the confessional, and the guy asks Kayla, "Do you think what you said was wrong or whatever?" And Kayla was like, "I'm not saying anything because I don't want to incriminate myself." So Kayla never really apologized for making a comment. I understood why she made it, but yeah, you didn't apologize, Kayla. So that was kind of backhand too. And again, they started this crap. at the end, Tiffany, Amber, and Kaylin started to crap about the mop, started having a conversation about Stormy, and of course, Tiffany back to the mop again. Well, I know you guys work for Stormy, and I don't want to say anything out of line, but I just, she said she had brunch with Kayla earlier and this and that. And like Tiffany, we can't have the mop comment be your freaking storyline. It's a wrap. Either you apologize for it and move on and forget about it, or you don't apologize. But at some point, you just gotta let it go. We're still talking about the mop scene 3 episodes later. Okay. Meanwhile, Colleen has already squashed whatever it was she said about her and Kaylin doing the Canvas Beauty TikTok 48-hour live. They squashed that in like 5 or 10 minutes. Once they seen each other, had a conversation. Hopefully that's done as a done data. But you're still talking about the mop thing. So that got to you. And the only reason it's getting to you is you don't like the fact that Stormy is coming to your town, Birmingham, and taking away the attention and the clout that you are used to getting. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Tiffany was the leader of the pack to a certain degree, and now she's no longer that. And she don't like it because she wants Stormy to stay on her turf in Huntsville, and it's my turf in Birmingham. And I ride around with the mayor's wife. This our turf. And Stormy coming in there shaking up the ground a little bit and making some waves. And Tiffany don't like it, and neither does the Kendra lady. And again, this is all alleged, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes only. I'm just going off the vibe I get and just common things I see in people's personalities and stuff like that. That's it. So, of course, next week they're going to show them all meeting at Stormy's big old ranch, Stormy's estate. And Stormy ended up throwing Tiffany out because they still talking about that damn mop. I'm sick of the mop. At this point, Stormy, hire a whole cleaning team, clean that place up from top to bottom, and go on about your business and tell her don't ever mention it ever again. That's how stupid the conversation is for me. So with that being said, Belle Collectives, it was a decent episode. I will say this again. I think King Rain Production, Carlos, whoever, I think they're doing a great job. I give credit where credit's due. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about Carlos. I don't know Carlos. You know what I'm saying, personally. So I basically do, however I feel about him based on what he's doing on television, how he producing his shows. And I think Belle Collects is a good show, the Birmingham one. And I also like the way that he's trying to reinvent Stormy. I just need Stormy to stay on that path that he's doing for you and reinventing you into a more likable reality star. Don't let Tiffany drag you back down to Love and Marriage Huntsville Stormy, because that Stormy a lot of people did not resonate with and didn't like. And that caused you a lot with your business and stuff like that. You got your business up and going. You on a whole new show. People are seeing a different side of Stormy. Hell, even Miss Betty seemed nicer on this particular show. You showed your father. This is the first time I actually seen him, or either I didn't pay attention the last time, but your mother and your father actually in the same place together. Your husband kind of hiding from the cameras. He's always been the person that don't like being in the cameras. I think he did it for you. Your son. So, Stormy, don't you let Tiffany take you through there. You know what I'm saying? Don't let Tiffany bring you back to old Stormy. Because we're starting to like the new Stormy just a little bit. And I think the reason why is Tiffany is probably less. Tiffany probably got more people who are not connecting to her than you do at this point. So let Tiffany stay over there in that box, as Tisha like to say. Tisha Scott, I ain't gonna say to give the box a name, but let her stay over there and earn her respect from the viewers. Okay? You got a second chance. We like what we seeing. At least I like what I'm seeing with Stormy. So Stormy, please don't let Tiffany drag you back down that rabbit hole again. All right? And with that being said, this is Gen X Nation. Hey, I did a Hot Topics video last week. Y'all go in there and flash through it. There's some deep stuff on there. I'll go back through social media and find some more lighthearted stuff to talk about. I love some good church mess, but these churches they've been quiet lately because they've been catching some heat on some of the stuff they stand in these pulpits doing. And Every now and then I do some political rants because at the end of the day, we all live in this country together. We all are voters, taxpayers, what have you. So we do have a say so, and we have a right to speak up on it. And I may see some crazy relationships or just some stuff that I feel like this needs to be discussed. So at least for me, and I will come out every now and then with some hot topics, but I usually stick to reality TV, but I'll try to do a few more hot topics in between. But right now, I'm finna go watch this Huntsville because, as I stated earlier about King Rain production and Carlos King reinventing people to change the narrative so we may see them in a different light and may start to somewhat like them. Destiny doing her thing over there in Huntsville. All right. I actually am starting to see a part of Destiny that is a part that I'm okay with and like. And I'm just sad that she didn't show us that a long time ago. But sometimes you got to go through some things to figure out what you really should be doing. And I think Destiny kind of figured out the formula for the reality TV castmate and how to make it work for her. All right. So I'm gonna go back. I watched it once. I'm gonna go back and look at it a second time. Sometimes I watch these shows 2 or 3 times to try to see if there's something I missed or try to correlate things together. And the one thing like the Belle Collective I just did my review and I picked up on was the girl who Kayla said does she do lines or whatever the case may be, and you were so offended by that. At the same time, you called Kayla dense and asked her and asked her, she called what did she call her? She said, "Are you that dense, or you just don't have a clue, or you just walk around here and are you naturally dense, or you just walk around here with no clue all the time?" That was rude too, but she didn't pick up on that. You picked up on her being disrespectful and rude to you about alluding to something in the comments, but then you turn around and allude to something just as disrespectful toward her. So that's why I watch it 2 or 3 times because sometimes there are things you don't catch the first time or the second time, and then your brain will start ticking like ding, ding, ding. You know what? I picked up on that. You shouldn't have, she shouldn't have said that to you when she didn't like you doing. Okay. That's how my mind works. It just works differently. So with that being said, I hope everybody again had a great Mother's Day. I'm about to log off and take my behind over here and watch this Huntsville stuff one more time. And I may just do a review later on at night or early in the morning. I'm a little bit tired right now. And we'll see what Destiny has to say. And hey, I actually think Martell makes an appearance. I'm like, Martell, where have you been, friend? Nobody knows. Nobody knows Martell like we do. You know what I'm saying? You were made for us, Martell. We need to see you more, okay? I know people have their feelings about Martell, but I don't think nobody should be hijacking the show that him and his wife really pitched, his ex-wife pitched. He still should have a right to be on that show and film. They're trying to get rid of him because they don't want to film with him. But we'll talk about that when I do Huntsville review. So outside of that, you guys go have a great rest of your evening. I hope everybody had the day they wanted. Next week is next week. We already know the Mad King gonna be up there doing something crazy. Don't let it get too deep. Don't let it bother you too deep because we have come to expect it, and it's not going to stop until the man upstairs says it stops. All right. And with that, you guys go have a great rest of your day. Peace. And as always, I'm out.